Well, hi and welcome to my shop, and thanks for joining me. I'm just about to start work on this really nice looking radio. But first, considering that today is March 12th, I think I want to go over a web page without too much editorializing on my own part, just over a web page and try to show you what's on this web page. And it's not about radios, it's about what's going on in the world right now. I'm just going to go through it and explain the charts in it and just what numbers are on it and leave it at that. So let's take a look at this chart. So this is a web page put together by a person named Dan Richard and a couple other people, Nick Kontz and Adam Trotter. I don't know these people at all, but they are physicists. At least Dan Richard is a physicist, a scientist. So I think that's his background for doing this kind of thing. Doubling time model and projections. So other modelers are using things like number of deaths reported and things like that to create their models. In this case, these guys are focused on the doubling time of the infection spread. So I mean, you can always go on this website and read all the details if you like. I'm just going to go through these charts here. So this is the chart of the doubling time as they have calculated it, and you can see the doubling time here in days. And a doubling time of 2 is very dangerous, of course. That means every 2 days the number of infections doubles. And you can just imagine how rapidly that would ramp up. And that's kind of what it was back in early March. But now, and this is in the United States, by the way. So, so here it is out here in the United States. It's now out around 9.5. Just to let you know, this was updated yesterday. He updates this every day. And all these numbers that you see adjust slightly as he updates it. So you can study all this kind of stuff. I'm seeing this for the first time today too. So here he's talking about the number of cases that would be produced. Now these charts at a glance are a little confusing. This is a chart of their changes in their predictions. In this case it's a projected peak number of new reported cases. And down here are dates of time going by. Today is the 12th, so we're right out here. And this line represents the estimates they were making on these dates. And the estimates are over here. Peak number of new reported cases. So here they are estimating on the blue line, and this is a logarithmic scale, so be careful. Something like, I guess that would be 50,000. Something like 50,000. Oh, there you are, 51,000 cases per day. But that's not what's so interesting. So here's a projection of the date of the peak, and again, same thing. Here's the projection, and here's time as it's ticking by, and different projections are being made. Different information coming in, things happening like that. So here we see the latest projection of the peak, and I believe this is the peak of cases. Is, according to them, look, this is a tough chart to look at. End of May, middle of June. Looks like first week in June, something like that. Peak of infections in the United States. Okay, and now the last chart to look at. Projected number of deaths before a vaccine. So the idea behind this is once the vaccine comes, the issue goes away, and that's the end of COVID. We never have to look or think about it again. But until then, people are going to die at an accelerated rate. And what will that add up to? Your eye has probably found this number here. 900. 2 days ago this number was 840. 900,000 American deaths before next September. Next September. 900. And now there's an error rate in this. It could be as low as 500 or as high as 2 million. And that's with the current situation. If things don't change, and they will change, this is where you're headed right now in the United States. So the reason I'm showing you this, if you're American, is because you're hearing all kinds of super optimistic news right now, and I'm afraid it's not realistic. I don't know, who knows, right? I don't know. What I know is that in Canada, we're not being told about the possibility of a second wave. We are told about the second wave will come. In America, it's being ignored. They're just kind of pretending it's not going to come. Maybe it's going to come. The second wave can be far worse than the first wave. So that's how that number gets up to 900, I think. I don't really know. And again, I don't know, is this guy correct in what he does? He's publishing this, he's updating it every day. He and his buddies have their name on it. It's on their main web page where they do their physics stuff. And some of the numbers on this page early on were exactly the same numbers being quoted by the American government. The conclusion I've reached is the American government has no numbers of its own. It has not put together its own internal projections of these things. It's relying on charts like this one, and of course the other one I showed you the other day, the IHME website. They talk about this openly now, as if it's theirs almost. So I think that's what they're relying on. They're relying on this information, and they've looked at Dan Rechart's information too. So I'm just leaving that with you now. This is for you to figure out. In my own life, what I've realized is safety is dependent on the local conditions around me here in my own city, in my own hospital, in my own grocery stores, not what's going on in the world generally. It's just what's happening locally right here. Now, enough of all that. Let's go look at a radio and fix it. Well, actually, I'm not likely to fix it today. Today is just going to be exploring it to find out its condition. So the first thing that kind of strikes me about this radio is, where's the pointer? It's got this fantastic looking dial. Where is the pointer? It's through this little narrow window here. You can see it. Well, maybe you can't even see it on. I think you can see it there on the video. Hey, I didn't realize it was shortwave too until I had it in here on my bench. Cabinet has some cracking right through here. Crack back here. Oh my gosh, look at this thing. It's completely wrapped in this plastic. And a crack in the corner there. Crack here. I guess maybe the speaker's out the back because of the grill and the cloth. I didn't see a single screw yet. Is this really an old radio? It must be. It weighs a ton. But it certainly looks different than most. Can I put this on its face? Yes, I can. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Oh, look at this. Holy smokes, what is all that? Oh, these are the push buttons. Yes, it's got push buttons in the front. Let's take another look at those push buttons. Take another look at them here. KNX, KMTR, KFI, KFXM, KEH. I've never heard of any of these stations at all. So this radio is from somewhere else in North America. This button's missing its cover. Oh, there's a name there. CL something TON. Clariton. Clariton? Don't know. Hopefully we'll find another name somewhere for it. Oh, what's that? Hey, who's just showed up here? The gigantic cat. Oh my gosh, it's that Japanese monster cat. Okay, back on its two screws here. Screws here. Screws coming out. Now it must be the back. The back must, okay, right. I think we just take these two screws out and the back will lever off. We'll see. What you up to today, Cat? So it's in with. Oh, you know what? I know what's going to happen here. I know what's going to happen here. This is unusual. That I know what's going to happen here. It's going to be unlike most any other radio. Do I know what's going to happen? I think so. Okay, let's put this back. Like this. Crack, I heard a crack. Actually, I don't know what's going to happen. I thought this was just going to slide right off. There's more screws. Looks like you can slide the... Maybe not. I should have left these screws in and taken these ones out. There's a big crack right up through here, I just noticed. Right through it. One screw missing. Okay, I think this time. Oh, I've never had a radio come apart like that before. Some kind of, must be sound insulation here. The speaker faces out the front. The sticker there, patent numbers on it, but it's pretty worn out. This one's shattered from probably having an incorrect screw jammed into it. These have got metal inserts in them. Okay, let's put this. Oh, is there any cracks on this thing? A small crack up here, but nothing threatening it. Okay, put this part away. Now, have you ever seen one like this, Shadow? I don't think so. 25Z5. So I think this will come right off the back here. Yep. Okay, it's got this crack right through it here. Okay, well, I'm not the first person to visit this radio. Look at this arrangement. So let's see, you got a wire from the outside of this down to the chassis here, and the other wire, so one is going to the this is a field coil speaker, and he's only hooked up this one section of the 3-section capacitor. That's a little curious. Interesting to see what's underneath here. We got a 2-section capacitor, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tubes in this guy. This one's heavily shielded. Look at the shielding on that. 2 lights behind the dial. That's an interesting looking radio. I only got one IF. Oh no, there's the other one. There's a little one down there. Never seen that before. Little IF. Little mini IF. What do you think, Shadow? Yeah, she's busy. Okay, let's look underneath. This front piece will kind of hang on here, I think. Oh, yes, it's covered up. Okay, so we have to get the excuse me, screws in here. There's probably screws this way over here. Got to get this front plate off. Okay, So I think that involves removing the knobs. And the knobs are, this one's loose. So the screw is missing, the locking screw. This one appears to have it. Yeah, it's a flat head. Let's see how they've done these. Is it glued on too? Oh my gosh, what's holding it? Is there 2 screws? 1 screw. What's going on? It's held right on. Oh. That screw rolled right in and fell in the hole there and disappeared. There's a crack across the top of this button too. Okay, let's try this one. Oh, here comes the that piece came out. Pretty rusty in here. Okay. Won't come off either. Let me just turn it against its limit. There it goes. There. This has a flat edge on it. So this guy's stuck on here. Looking underneath, it looks like it's jammed full of stuff. Jammed full of stuff, eh? Oops, let's apply a little upward pressure here. I don't want to put too much on it. That's not very good. Oh, there it goes anyway. I just got a little boulder, that's all. Yeah, there's some stuff in there. Screw, put it back in. Now these kind of knobs are very, very, very fragile. They have no metal liner in them, these knobs. I'll show you in a sec here as soon as I get the screw set. A lot of these will have a metal liner in here and a metal fitting, and you're actually screwing the screw through metal. And so that's strong, and you can tighten that screw down and go ahead. But some of these other ones, there's no metal in them, they're all plastic like this. And when you tighten this screw down too much, you put a lot of pressure on the plastic, and then eventually you're going to get a crack. There's a crack through this one too, very, very light. These ones look okay. They look like they're not on their last legs, but now these buttons look like they go right through the, yeah, right through like that. Kinda. There. There we go. Very nice looking. I just don't know what that says. C-L-A, and it's just completely gone. T-O-N. Clairton is a name, but there's no E in here. Let me set this aside. Now what? This big metal plate here. Yeah, this has to come off. Speaker cone looks good. Okay, let's flip this way. This looks like a good way to flip it. That's good. Last one. And what do we got in here? Oh boy. We got a radio that is jam-packed with parts. That's why it's so heavy for its size. Man alive, there's a lot in there. So we have a huge button set in here with its tuning capacitors. That's a real hassle to adjust these if you have to get under this thing all the time. Yeah, that's a hassle. So I see this looks new, this looks new. Not sure what's going on with these here. These are paralleled, floating. These are floating paralleled capacitors here. I'm gonna guess somebody replaced it. Oh my gosh. There's the killer. Somebody used one of these in the bottom of a radio. Okay, I'll just leave that like that. Any more of that stuff in there? The cord. This is probably a new cord. It's a unpolarized cord. This radio has a no. Oh, it does have a transformer. What's that transformer doing up there? This one. So there's an output transformer right on the speaker. This must be the power transformer here. One hint would be all the tubes say 6. This is a 6SA7 here. I think that's the case. 6-volt tubes. Tried to tie this in a knot to strain relief it, but I'm not sure it did a very good job of that. So in terms of paper capacitors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we've got these funny guys here. We've got some tape. Oh, here's a wire with tape on the end and nothing hooked up to it. There's a wire hooked up to tape. It's just a single wire. There's some more. Put this right upside down here. Just do it very carefully. So he's picked off, I guess, at least these two to change out. Yeah, definitely. They're done with the same style I use, where you cut the old component, leave a wire tail, and then solder to the tail. That's how these have been done down here. Same thing. And in fact, this is a real schmozzle here. What is going on? Why wouldn't you just cut this wire right off? Why leave it hanging there and put tape on it? You just cut it right there. That's a terminal with a lot of stuff hooked up to it. So this is evidence that the fellow doing this didn't have the right size capacitors and was doing this to get to the right size or close. Here's another wire. Well, there's a big honkin' filter capacitor. There was one right in here. Doesn't look right because there's something right underneath it. Well, there's no way there was a. Well, there could have been if they had a filter, like a can, a filter. Oh, look at this. Okay, hold on. Something missed my eye. This thing shoved in here. Yeah, I saw this, but I didn't follow the wire up. Look at this. So somebody's done the get rid of the hum. They've done the get rid of the hum effort. Should we turn this radio on? It's always the question, isn't it? Do you dare to turn that thing on? Off. Tuning. It's interesting how the tuning is geared here. And this is probably a tone. band switch. This must be the band switch. It's really, really stiff. Doesn't move very far at all. That's it. So it's turned counterclockwise. I'm guessing that's AM. Capacitor moves. Hey, why don't we turn this guy on and see what happens? What's the worst thing that can happen? My dim bulb becomes very bright. That's really the worst thing that can happen here. Okay, if this is the first time you've watched any of my videos, I should have said something a little earlier. I really haven't seen this radio before, so I really am winging it right in front of you, and that's how my videos operate. I don't do a lot of editing, so as I work along and I get off track and things go wrong, they go wrong on the video too. So one of the things I really like to do with radios when I'm working on them is to get them working to any degree as soon as possible. So there's some sound coming out of the speaker. That proves a lot of things, not the least of which is the speaker works. So that's what we're going to do right here. Before I do anything, I'm going to see if this radio works at all. I can do it safely because the power that's coming to the radio from the outlet is going through this light bulb, and that restricts the amount of power. If there's a big short circuit in here or something horrendous going on, this light will come on super bright, and that's all that will happen. So first we turn the set off, apply the power, the light does not come on, and we end up with full voltage there, 122.9 volts today. So now we're going to turn the power off, turn the switch on. Now I'm going to turn the power on. We should see this light come on bright and then go down. Maybe not so bright either. If it comes on bright, stays bright, perfect. And there's some dramatically bright lights here in the camera. Not so dramatic in my eye. So I'm looking now to see what tubes are warming up. Give it a little bit of volume. Okay, so I can see this heater coming on here. That's a good sign. Just going to wait. Applying the greatest of patience here. So the radio is running on 100 volts from the outlet now. The rest of the voltage is making this light glow. Oh, I heard something. A little pop. Another pop. So tube's lit, tube's lit. The other ones I really can't tell. So this one's lit. This one's lit. I can't tell with this one. I think it's coated. And that one's lit. So I think they're all lit. They're all lit or lighted. Maybe lighted is the right word for that. Not much volume. Okay, next thing with the volume turned down, do a little tube wiggling. Climb up a little bit before these get too hot to touch. Hear a sound. I'm looking, any sound would be helpful. No sound. There's a grid cap on one of them, so I'm going to touch it. Oh. Okay, we can hear that. So we know something's happening from this forward in the radio. Now, what happened to the antenna? There's no antenna at all. Some of these radios with no antenna at all are stone silent. This may not be one of them. Let me turn it right up. That's pretty dead, isn't it? That's pretty dead. Tune the range here. Nothing whatsoever, of course. And what other really simple test can we do? That, nothing. She's dead, Jim. That's the story here. Hey, what about these buttons? Maybe something's wrong. Maybe this is a phono button. Maybe a phono thing? There's no phono on the back, eh? There's nothing. No phono. Let's push some buttons, though. Yeah, let's push buttons. One of these buttons might be to turn on the VFO. Like maybe that one. Nice sounding button. Maybe we'll try KMTR. How about KNX? I don't think we're going to hear anything out of this radio at all. Okay, switch off. Okay, well, it's a little bit of a disappointing start, but then again, no, because I was able to power this thing up. Looks like most of the tubes lit up. Ooh! Smokes, that's hot. I can't tell for sure. Yeah, that's got a little bit of heat in it. I think they all heated up. Maybe this one. This one I touched the grid cap, we could hear it come out of the speaker, so that's an indication that it's good. It was working. So we have here a radio. It's just possible somebody worked on it, it never worked again, and they just gave up on it, and here it is now in front of me. The other more likely possibility is somebody knew enough to do what they did. They had to know a fair bit to do what they did. And they succeeded. And the radio should have worked just now. But it didn't. That would mean they did what they did, the radio started working, and then at some point it stopped. It's amazing what I can figure out sometimes, isn't it? The approach to this radio. You know, from a troubleshooting point of view, there's potentially quite a bit of fun in this thing. So we should probably, before getting in and start replacing parts and doing all that kind of stuff, you can see the fellow who worked on it. This is the front end circuitry up in here, and that's where he's done the capacitors. He left all the ones back here, except for that. This is the one I'm pretty sure is conveying the audio from the volume control. Yeah, I think what might be interesting. What's this on the back here? What's that? It's like a almost looks like a variable capacitor here. The radio. That is not produced. This is not available at the back. When the radio cabinet's on, this is not visible. There's no way to get at it. There's no hole or anything. So that's a bit of a mystery. A little bit. Lots of mystery. Okay. I think that's it for today. Tomorrow we'll do more tests, try to inject signals, try to, you know, I'll kind of make all these claims right now of what I'm going to do, and then I won't do any of them because that's usually what happens. So I won't make all those claims. I'm going to work more on this radio tomorrow and see if we can't get it limping along before I start doing more heavier duty work on it. Great, thanks a lot for watching. Have as good a day as you can today.